Get this meeting over before 6 o'clock so we can get to the town meeting.
Before probably 5:45. It's,
Yeah.
I mean, starting
Yeah,
the
go
town meeting
fast.
at 6 is a little,
Right.
much.
So I'll call the meeting to order. We don't have a lot on the agenda tonight. So did everybody, you're just reading the minutes? You all
Yeah,
okay?
I looked at it before and I thought it was okay, but there was one thing I wanted to double check. All right, yep, I'll make a motion to accept.
Second.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Okay, you're the only one that's left to sign the warrants. Working on it, I know.
Yep.
And abatements and sign the refund. And is it all right with you if we discuss the composting facility while you're
Yeah, go
doing
ahead.
that?
Sure.
All right. What's about the composting facility that's on Oak Hill Way?
All right, so it's my feeling only, but I feel they're just stalling. Like they were supposed, the building inspector told them to come see us, and I bumped into him and he asked, oh, so did they show up at your meeting? I'm like, no, they're on the agenda, but they didn't show up, so
Call you in the middle
you
of the
might
meeting.
wanna send a letter under your letterhead to the building inspector and ask for a timeline for removal of that material. I think they just wanna stall and hope you forget about them.
Well, we're not gonna do that.
Wasn't the building inspector trying to set up like one big meeting?
Yeah, that's when they were supposed to come here, that's when I explained to them
No,
that.
but wasn't there another one too with, I thought he was trying to get all the town departments?
He sends it out to broadcast the broad net, but like everybody else has already seen it and they're not. So the next step is to go to the zoning board, the ZBA, to get it rezoned. And they haven't done that either, because I keep watching, so I think they're hoping that it gets missed.
So a letter from us to Mike?
Just asking the timeline for the removal of the materials, since it's not a permitted thing and it's currently under a cease and desist.
And let him know that they had not shown up at our meeting.
Right.
So you're gonna let the building inspector know that we haven't seen anything?
Yeah.
Okay.
We're sending a letter to Mike, or we're sending a letter to?
No, we'll send it to Mike, because he has them under the cease and desist, so it's up to him
Okay.
to do enforcement or whatever he'd do next, I don't know.
Okay.
But I think they're just letting it drop, hoping everybody forgets.
Okay, well, we won't forget. An old business, why don't you just go down through and tell me,
What?
We should make a motion on that to send a letter or no?
Not really, because it's nothing official, we're just gonna ask, I'm just gonna ask him for a timeline or what's, they haven't appeared, is there a timeline for the removal of the material?
Okay.
Nothing,
nothing official from the board, it'll be
No.
just from him to another department head. So Wayne, what do you have in the old business that you,
alright, so it's station 124, Chatter Howard thing, treatment plant, that's Blue Leaf is still, I haven't heard more, I know they were waiting on their new flow meters. I haven't heard a change of the timeline of the week of 12/12, so that's coming up.
So they're still supposed to be here.
Still supposed to be here, I haven't heard anything different. Chatter and Howard, the station 3, we received final approval from Mass DEP to go on that. So they've worked out all of their fine things, or the issues, the 3 issues.
But we don't have a timeline for them to get it out there with.
No, but I know I saw some of the documents come through that I think they're ready to bid for it. Or go out to bid. So they're ready. Chatter and Howard is ready. So now they have approvals to continue on. It's gonna trigger, most likely, lead and copper. It's gonna put us back to biannual. I tried to ask and DEP said, no, it's a battle they fought, but I'll argue with them some more. Cause I can't, so I've got lists of all the houses built in the 3-year time frame that you're allotted for the tier ones. I'll send out letters, I'll show that I've
Why
done
do we
my,
have to go to, by
because I don't know what happened, but for some reason they're nuts about, because that Flint, Michigan did the stupid thing.
So we're changing the treatment process, so they're gonna want more
Right.
sampling, basically.
Yeah, because you're changing the treatment, even though it's not changing your corrosion control part of it, you're changing the treatment there, it triggers a thing.
Are you kidding?
It may happen with the well too. I don't know this, but they're like gung ho on triggering that lead and copper right and left. And it's like, it's easy for them to say, but the residents are involved. And I can't force a resident to let me use their house, and I can't force them to fill up the bottle, even though you pay them $55 their basic rate. I can't force them to do it. And then at that, only half of them fill out the paperwork correctly. It's not an easy thing. I started early this year, we got through it, but it took me all of the 3 months to harass the people to do it. So I'm gonna look to see if I can get more individuals. I'll save all the letters that we send out, I'll save copies of. When I don't receive responses, I'll document everything I'm doing. There's nothing I can do. I can't stay in the tier 1, I'm gonna drop off to tier 2 or just use regular houses.
They have to be all houses that were sodded with lead, copper, or lead solder.
There's a 3-year,
After 78, right?
right, there's a 3-year window that you're allowed.
Right.
And then after that, there's another 3 years, I think, that opens up, but you have to prove that it has lead solder in their copper pipes.
Right.
So then you have to go in and test the houses, you can't just do it by age. So I'm gonna start out with the age ones first, and then if I get some people out of that,
And if they were older, and we know that they had lead, they said that they didn't count because all the lead could be leached out of the solder joint already.
well, we don't have, so this town doesn't really have lead goosenecks, you never,
No, not the lead gooseneck.
Right.
Lead and the solder.
right,
That was their argument back. I asked them, why can't I use houses that were older than 78?
right.
And they said they didn't want it after that certain date because all the lead that was in the solder could already be leached out and we wouldn't find it anyways. So there's a very small window.
It's 3
And
years.
most of the houses that were built back in that, I looked at all the building permits at that time, they were Matfield Woods.
Right.
And they all had that plastic pipe. They don't have.
Oh, yeah, because of the,
So I used them the first round. And because they said they told me, I said, well, I gotta use something different because these houses don't have the lead. They said, if they fall in that time frame, you have to use them. Well, I used them and then they all come out negative, with nothing.
oh, yeah, no lead.
So then they said, well, that was impossible. And I told them, I said, well, I told you I wasn't gonna find any. So they said, well, now you gotta find all different ones. At first, they told me I had to stick to those, but because of their age, they matched it perfect. But for those couple of years, they were building that project, and that's where 99% of the houses,
Yeah.
units were built.
Yeah, so I had Deborah pull out a list.
You're gonna have a tough time filling the gap that they're looking for.
I have a list, I think about 50 to 60, and we already currently have 27 of them on a list, so I'm not holding high hopes.
Well, when the basic charge goes up again, it'll sweeten the
Yeah.
incentive a little bit.
Yeah.
I mean,
Well, if I get enough, then people will jump, but they know that they're basically it, because I've been doing this since I've been here, so I've seen people come and go, they've aged out of the system sadly, but it's the same houses over and over, and so they know.
All right, so what's next?
oh, did, on that one, did that letter go to DEP about requesting the waiver from bidding?
Yeah, that was approved.
So we don't have to go through the full bidding?
Right.
Okay, good.
Well, it's not, I think it has to do with, require you to use all US components.
Okay.
Because currently at this time,
They're on.
there's nothing. Even foreign, you have a hard time getting. Update on the replacement well. The VFD is currently still due to arrive mid-January. I haven't heard anything different on that. And we're having the walkthrough with DEP tomorrow. So I've cleaned up the station, I've done everything, but I don't know the name of this person. I haven't dealt with this person before. So we'll
Someone
see,
new,
it
or-
depends.
That's always interesting.
Well, I had James, who's now head of DEP in this first year, and he was kind of a bookworm. I mean, he was good, but he had the mirror, he had it, like, so I figured when we had him the second year, oh, this would be a breeze. No, he got worse. You never know, I mean, they can
They keep
nitpick down to
changing.
nothing.
Do you know if it's somebody like new to DEP or someone from a different region? Something-
No, it's from this area, it's just out of their office, and
Okay.
I haven't heard anything more on the Walnut Street tank. That kind of went quiet again.
So is the Walnut Street tank, is that completely offline now?
Yeah, it's been offline for a while.
Okay, so it's completely off. Alright. And what else you got? Anything on the solar?
No, I gotta gather up the electric bills, cause I was busy this week. But I gotta gather up the bills so that I can tell them how much we spend, cause I remember seeing it part of their requirements, you have to spend X amount.
Yeah, you mentioned that last meeting.
Yeah,
Okay.
Did we give them a date to come in at all about the
next,
water rates?
the next meeting.
Yeah, they said they'd be here?
Yeah.
Okay.
That should cover the page. Except for a job posting. She
Oh.
sends the things, I sent you the copies, like, I'm getting them and I am reviewing them.
I mean, I looked at them, if you wanted to ask one or both of those guys to come in and talk, that's fine with me.
Yeah, I mean, she just sent another bunch, so I'll look through those first. And then, yeah. But it's like, everybody who has something is not local. Like, where is everybody that's right here?
So has anybody got anything else on this meeting tonight? They asked us about, the water department. I saw there was discussion about, on the town website there, that they were talking about, you know, the quality of the water, and the building treatment plants and everything. Here we are every meeting trying to keep the rates down and trying to figure out how we could build all these treatment plants. And they wanna build, $8 million worth of, gyms and stuff.
Let's see if they discussed how much the town might have to pay for replacing the Forest Street Bridge.
Never mind the new school.
That, and like.
I just, uh,
Well, the thing is, we shouldn't be having to get into any details about, I mean, it would be nice to be able to stand up and say, look, we have to spend $7 million, whatever the number is.
Right.
In the next 5 years, 6 years, and it's not optional.
Right.
We have to spend it, it's to meet the, state requirements, if something asks, but we shouldn't be getting into details on, because you got sandbagged the last time there, you shouldn't have gotten blindsided like that at the last meeting.
what was that?
That was when they started asking about PFAS, which they're legitimate questions, but it was not part of that town meeting discussion. And, well, Wayne's up there, and you did a good job with it, as good as you could, because you could tell by the room the way it was going. But, I mean, that shouldn't be happening, but if they're talking money, yeah, I mean, look, we can't not spend this money. Even Manley Street, PFAS is going down, doesn't let us out of going
Right.
through with this stuff. So, that's legitimate.
And plus, we gotta build the iron removal plant over for the other well.
Yeah, no, I mean, that's,
But-
we're at what, like 7 million, is it around 7?
So, the
Altogether?
one that's here, I mean, right now prices are through the roof, but it was anywhere between 8 and 14. And then Manley Street, if you go through with the full thing, it's another 2 million on top of that.
Well, for the iron removal plant, between 8 and 14
No, for here.
for here.
And then Manley Street renovation is somewhere around 2 million.
So we're looking at probably, anyway, 10 million
Right.
between the two
10 to
sites.
16 million for everything that's on the books right now.
I mean, they're emerging contaminants and they're pushing for grants, principal forgiveness, but you don't know going in until you're into it.
Right.
that you're gonna get
But
that
here,
or not
but here
get
we
it.
are trying to figure the best way that we can get the work done, saving the town's water rate. And they're thinking about building recreational things. When we're talking about water supply for the town, I mean,
I think,
how
I
are
mean,
people gonna afford both of these bills?
so the school, the whatever athletic fields are fine, do it as debt exclusion and by user fee and pays the debt exclusion. That's how the golf course should have been too. That way it's not on the backs of the taxpayers. And if it all pans out, well, the taxpayers make out eventually because it's gonna generate revenue when it's all paid off, but not. I mean,
I don't think,
and the tax rate will go up to some
why can't
extent.
somebody in the private sector come in here and build this site? If there's money in it, somebody in the private sector will put the gym up, rent the fields out.
I don't think there is the money to do it, not for the buildings. For the fields, you might get, particularly if they did something and put one of those enclosures over, the bubble. I could see a private place doing a field like that if they could rent it, but a gym that size is not, they're not gonna be able to
Well,
rent
if they
that
can't
kind of
make money out of it, what makes the town think they can
The
make it
town's not, the
worthwhile?
town isn't in it to make money, the
No.
town's in it to provide a service to the kids.
Right.
They're saying, if there's,
Is that a necessity? I think
Well, that's
government
some-
should be a necessity. We need a water supply.
some people think it's a necessity, some people don't, and we'll see
Well,
at
we'll
town
see-
meeting how.
we'll see what happens.
balances, Basically. I mean, that's why we have the town meeting, is to see.
We'll see.
But yeah, I think you're looking at a lot of money being spent, because we've gotta do a school coming up in a few years.
Yeah,
Yeah.
which school is that? Which
It's-
one is
It's
it?
gonna be, the rumor anyway, what they were looking at is taking Howard, Spring Street with the pre-K and the administrative, and Roselle, and replacing
Dividing.
all those into one school. Which you
I
lose
told them
that,
when they built the high school, I told them they should have gone up and seen Bertorelli's and bought the Bertorelli's property. And they would have one side of the street for the schools over there. There's hundreds of acres up there. And across the street, they got to have football fields, soccer fields, everything else. They got a pond that's endless water. It's right at the water table, right behind Bobby Chisholm's house. That thing never ran out of water.
we've got what we've got, and I mean, they've gotta do something about the schools, but that's gonna be, God, don't even wanna think about what that would cost. It was what, 7 years ago we did the high school at 65?
At least,
Yeah.
at least the federal government chips in something on a school.
Well, it's the state, really, it's not even
The
the
state.
the state's, then that's the other thing, if you're gonna get the basketball gym as part of a school, and it's 50% funded.
Add it on to that instead of.
Instead, because it's gonna have one anyway. I mean, they're not gonna, the way they outfit schools, they're not building a school without a gym and that type of stuff in it. That's why, and then we only pay half, or roughly half. Because they won't pay for outside stuff, they won't pay for fields and that type of thing.
No, that's why that's why what messed up when they were building the high school, because it was a green field, they weren't supposed to water it, they couldn't put irrigation, that's when the contractor was illegally using their hydrants all over the place to water it. And I'm like, why are we getting dirty water?
Well, once we get the treatment plants in, we won't be having that dirty water problem.
Yeah,
Get the iron and manganese out. But it won't be cheap.
Yeah, I think
Be an interesting meeting.
They wanted to keep all the schools in one little campus like, and now they need to replace half of them anyways. Doesn't make any sense. I can't even get down Spring Street now with everybody parked on the side of the
well,
road.
they park it up, yeah.
Trying to pick up their kids. There's no way to get in there. They're parked out on Spring Street.
Yeah, I mean, you look, it's funny, you go by those schools, you kinda wonder why we have school buses. Cause it's like, it seems like there's a car for every kid in town
Yep.
Yep.
being dropped off.
All right, well,
December 15th is our next meeting?
Yep.
19th.
19th.
19th?
Today's the 5th.
okay, so we'll, I hear a motion to adjourn.
I make the motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor? Aye.
All right.
Aye.
All All right, I'll see you guys at the meeting.